You're better in the gang like got tweaking, and you can even save him from the deep end, blowing all this money that you should be keeping.
The state of the culture, right? When we look at the youth, we see what they're exposed to from different forms of culture, specifically hip hop, specifically the music culture, right? Um, we talk about the education, the prison pipeline. We talk about the prison industry. We speak of gang violence, gang culture, capitalism, poverty. There's not necessarily one face to one enemy, and I think those are the many hurdles that the black man, the black woman has to face. And it's specifically from my standpoint as a hip hop musician. I think that there are a lot of issues that come down to looking at my peers. It's a lot of friction and tension because no one's perfect, right? I remain silent a lot of the times because I'm trying to be as careful as I can to set the right model and example for the youth. And I'm competing with noise, I'm competing with a lot of negative outputs, things that can kind of go against what my intentions are. So this is internal conflict where there's borderline admiration because I admire anyone willing to go the music route and make legal money. But at the same time, I question the costs that come with those said obstacles, right? With all the concepts involved, drug dealers and time machines, ski mask in 97, being trapped in self, being trapped in time, being trapped in culture and how other people view you, being trapped in a system or a program. I think it says a lot. There's a lot of implications about what freedom is, what slavery is, right? The new Jim Crow, being locked up on ankle monitor, parole officers, right? The state of the culture right now where it's okay to snitch, right? Freedom is a very ambiguous term nowadays, and I think that for me, on a spiritual level, freedom to reserve myself from looking at my phone frequently, right? From constantly looking at my phone and having that urge. I think it says a lot about what's out there, the stimuli, and relationships, people involved, people that might have negative intentions. The freedom to say no. I think a lot of people, when you look at the streets, when you look at the culture and the state of the culture and gang violence, retaliation, the idea of retaliation, retaliating, I've learned to really develop respect for those who they might be doing a drill, they might be doing some type of skit, right? And an individual actually having it in them to walk away from that. That's freedom to me. Somebody that can walk away in the middle prior to a drive-by happening and being like, hey, I'm out, right? I think there's a lot of freedom that comes with that. Prior to this, I was in college. I graduated, finally completed my degree in 2018. I spent that whole next year in post working on drug dealers and time machines. Now currently the EP. There were a lot of times where I felt like dropping out. 2016, I got dismissed from UCLA, and I had to bubble back up. So I spent a lot of time in different jobs, temp agency jobs, building myself up to be able to go to LA and complete my degree, basically. I think that there were just a lot of challenges. I had only 20 units left, so it was probably one of the most challenging things I've accomplished in my life. But since then, things have set me on a pretty good path, if you will. There was a point where I felt like the education system wasn't necessary for my success. I also looked at a lot of my peers, and there's no clear-cut path for most black men outside of music and sports. Me going to college was symbolism to promote a different path, a different type of path you can take for a lot of the youth to see that there are different ways and routes you can go with this. You see, the thing with gang culture, and I've done considerable amount of research, right, on the different sub gangs, the different original gangs in the city of Sacramento. And you know, when I did my zone, right, when I started my zone, interviewing a lot of the faces that you see, a lot of these people, you know, have grown up in particular areas where, you know, a lot of these activities are going down. And you know, I've seen a lot, I've heard a lot, right? A lot of deaths on each end when we speak on gang culture in Sacramento. It's very different. Sacramento gang culture is a very different type of culture, and I think it's really forming and evolving into something that is almost uncontrollable. It's something that parallels African cultures from tribalism, but then again, it's something that I think we have to all embrace and deal with from a realistic standpoint. But the costs that come with that, I don't really think we'll be able to rectify. The music culture, man. The music culture is something that I think really makes this challenging, because it makes it look like it's okay. You know, it is what it is, though. You know, and I've accepted what the terms are, but it gives a misleading perception. I mean, when we talk about the mass, right, it gives a misleading perception of how things are. When you think about the individuals involved, I think ultimately they don't really want to do this. They got children, you know, they don't really want to have to risk their life every day. You don't think that they would imagine that the real individuals that are doing this will want something better for themselves, you know, to raise their children in a better environment, make more money, legal, consistent money, right? Not having to drill and risk their life over something that's trivial. That's the issue, is that it's misleading, you know? Well, I think I've done a pretty good job getting to a certain point. However, politically speaking here, being what it is that I set out and that I admire and that I want from the culture, it's like, you know, I've been able to gain some type of respect from each end of my people, you know, and I think that I'm not coming from a judgmental space. This is coming from a place of concern, a place of worry, a place of fear, and true pain. When we look at the King Von situation, who passed, rest in peace, right? It is what it is, right? These things happen. People sign up for these things, but I think for me, that was written. That was something that was already written. It was going to happen that way, you know. But prior to that, that's where my pain comes from, knowing that it's a systematic thing that's going to take place, knowing that this is something that is beyond us. I've considered many different routes, you know, political routes, right? I've considered reconciliation. I have some type of pull, but I don't really know how much power, and I think sometimes it, you know, you feel very powerless, wanting something greater than yourself, because at the end of the day, in gang culture, it's a matter of tug and pull, you know. I think right now I'm just the observer, you know. I'm paying attention to everything and I'm seeing where I fit in, but ultimately I really feel like I'm the voice of the streets. I feel like I'm the voice of the people, and the voice of the culture. And if I got to put the microphone out and give, you know, those individuals the microphone as well, then I will, you know.
I got it. Risk the pack with that bossy. Meaning of life and it profit. One thing about tables, when you press to eat, they might turn. Since a youngin' I had lots to learn. Like chemistry and big birds. We don't compromise for no birds.